Did you know that our favorite brand of popcorn was a failure? Until they changed the name.
You always love to say, wait a minute, that's the same name my mother thought of.
That one of our most popular potato chips went to court.
There was lots of discussion. Is this a chip? Isn't it a chip?
Or that soup caused a snack craze.
By accident, they were testing this product in a lab, and they had chips around.
From a simple pop to a satisfying crunch. It's high tech.
It's about a 15 to 20 minute process from the time the potatoes are unloaded until the product is in our distribution center.
And homemade.
Jiffy Pop!
Jiffy Pop, Jiffy Pop, the magic treat.
From an angry chef to a steam-powered machine, it's the story of how a simple mineral turned into a national obsession.
I think the craving's something that we're built with, like a sex drive.
On American Eat, salty snacks. It's what you eat when you've got a craving.
He's got the fever for the flavor of a Pringles.
It's what you eat when you're feeling blue. Yo, it's what you eat when
You can't eat just one.
Doritos, Tostitos, chips, puffs, Pringles, curls, and doodles. No matter what your favorite, there's no denying it. America is a salty snack food nation.
Americans love salty snacks, I think first because they taste good, and secondly because they taste good, and maybe even thirdly.
I think the craving for salt is something that we're built with, like a sex drive. The snack industry understands this craving for salt.
We spend $24 billion on salty snacks annually, more than we spend on cookies, candy, or even bread. That's 6.6 billion pounds of crunch, crackle, crisp, and 22 pounds annually per person of satisfying salty snacks. It's become part of the national diet.
America's changed during the 19th and 20th century. We went from a lifestyle where there were three common meals, of which you'd have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to a time in which we're grazing virtually all day long.
But where did all this grazing begin? Maybe with one of our first favorite salty snacks, popcorn. It's so simple. All you need is kernels and some heat. But not any old corn will pop.
There are actually 5 different types of corn. Popcorn is one of those 5.
The mystery of what makes popcorn pop is all about what's inside the kernel. 3 elements.
One is the outer pericarp. Second is the starch inside the popcorn. The third is the moisture. What essentially happens is when popcorn is heated, the moisture in it turns into steam, and the outer membrane, the pericarp, holds in the pressure to such an extent that the starch in it gelatinizes. And as soon as that happens, the popcorn explodes.
But getting to that explosion was no easy task in 19th century America.
The first method of popping popcorn was to take an ear of popcorn, set it by the fire, and let it pop. Some of the kernels would go into the fire and they would be useless. Some of them would end up on the ground and they would end up with dirt. So this was not a very efficient or effective way of popping corn.
The 1830s introduced the invention of the handheld popper, a wire mesh box with a long wooden handle. The corn would pop inside the wire box, staying clear of the fire. Though sometimes served sweet and even promoted as a breakfast cereal, by the mid-19th century, popcorn was usually served with salt, and it was wildly popular at home and on the street. But early popcorn vendors ran into a series of difficulties.
One of the problems of popcorn vendors was that you usually popcorn in your home, then brought it out and sold it on the street. And the problem here was it wasn't very fresh and it wasn't hot by the time you got it on the street and you made your sale.
Then in 1893, a breakthrough. A 40-year-old former Chicago bakery owner named Charles Creeders unveiled the steam-driven popcorn machine. The engine heated a butter, lard, and salt mixture to 450 degrees for popping, kept the popcorn warm, and moved a clown at the top of the machine called the Toasty Roasty Man.
Charles Cretors really was the man who made popcorn popular. His steam-powered popcorn machines made it possible to mechanically make popcorn, keep it warm, and entertain people while he would be selling bags of popcorn, not having to do all those functions himself.
Step right up. And now the big top is up.
Cretors' invention made popcorn a favorite at amusement parks, ball games, and fairs.
Welcome to the theater.
But there was one place popcorn wasn't welcome.
In the very beginning, the movie theater owners were hesitant to put popcorn in their concession stands. Popcorn was just another mess-making mechanism for them to clean up afterwards in between shows.
But the Depression changed their opinions.
Sales of movies were down, movie theater attendance was down, and they really needed a reason to draw people in to the movie theater. And since popcorn was so popular at the time, putting popcorn on the menu and offering it at a lower price or as part of a movie ticket was a way of drawing people in.
By the early 1940s, profits from popcorn actually exceeded those from ticket sales. Movie theater owners even began adding more salt to their popcorn so thirsty patrons would buy more soda.
It's almost cheating.
By 1945, almost half of the popcorn grown in the United States was consumed in movie theaters, with annual sales amounting to over $1 million. But popcorn was still a popular treat to make at home, and the rise of television made it even more so. And in 1959, a new invention turned home popcorn into an event.
Jiffy Pop!
Jiffy Pop, Jiffy Pop, the magic treat.
Jiffy Pop really was one of the icons of the 1950s, along with Davy Crockett coonskin caps. They went beyond the enjoyment of popcorn into the national culture.
Jiffy Pop.
The real treat was a Jiffy Pop pan that my parents would bring home. That was a real treat for my sister and I, because Jiffy Pop is as much fun to make as it is to eat.
I think people just love watching the popcorn pop. It's really an exciting thing to do.
Jiffy Pop was the invention of Benjamin Coleman of Berkeley, Michigan, along with Betty Robbins and Betty's brother-in-law, Frederick Menon. Their goal was to make home popcorn popping less messy by making the whole cooking apparatus disposable.
Betty was one who did all the testing for the disposable aluminum pan, and her brother-in-law created the spiral wound version of the foil that then was wrapped around the disposable aluminum pan.
When you popped the corn, you ended up with an expanded foil dome, which was the bowl, and so it created even less mess in the house.
Jiffy Pop was a hit, but an even bigger popcorn success story was on the horizon. A man with a bow tie whose name would become synonymous with the snack.
Hello, I'm Orville Redenbacher from Valparaiso, Indiana.
Orville Redenbacher was born in 1907 and grew up on a farm in Indiana.
Grandpa was an agricultural guy. I mean, his entire life was built around agriculture. He grew up in it, he studied it at Purdue University, and then he went straight into it.
For more than 30 years, Redenbacher worked for various seed companies in the Midwest, creating different hybrids of corn seeds for farmers.
And one day, during his experiments of creating different hybrid seeds, he discovered a hybrid that actually, when popped, would expand twice the size of a normal popped kernel.
He ended up with a popcorn variety that would flake to 50 to 60 times the size of the original kernel. This was a tremendous discovery.
In 1970, at an age when many men would be looking forward to retirement, the 63-year-old Redenbacher and a partner, Charles Bowman, started a company, Redbow, a combination of both their names. But because their popcorn cost more money than brands already on the market, they quickly got nowhere. But they weren't giving up.
Grandpa was always a very determined man. For him to take that corn that he had, load it into his station wagon, and drive from one shopping mall to the next shopping mall to the next shopping mall, trying to sell it to the grocery stores all across the Midwest when he was 60, 65. He said it took quite an effort.
The effort paid off when Redenbacher and Bowman hired a PR firm in Chicago who suggested they market the more expensive popcorn as gourmet and changed the name to Orville Redenbacher.
He always loved to say, wait a minute, that's the same name my mother thought of 60 years ago, but she didn't charge me $13,000. But Obviously, that ad agency was right.
And consequently, gourmet popcorn was born.
Hello, I'm Orville Redenbacher from Valparaiso, Indiana.
He made his product a national treat.
By 1975, Orville Redenbacher Gourmet Popping Corn was one of the best-selling popcorns in the country.
Eats better, too.
By the late 1970s, the microwave was the newest thing in the kitchen, and popcorn was struggling to fit in.
Microwave popcorn was really quite a challenge to the extent that microwaves weren't a uniform product. Some popcorn would burn and some wouldn't pop, creating unhappy consumers.
In 1984, a former Pillsbury popcorn engineer named James Watkins introduced revolutionary microwave popcorn under the brand name Act 2. His bag was equipped with something called a susceptor pad, a pad with several metallic layers that became extremely hot in the microwave.
The pad actually collects the microwaves and then evenly distributes the heat to the oil in the corn that is just above the pad. So it's very evenly heated, so all the kernels get heated just right, and so they can all pop.
Other popcorn manufacturers soon copied the technology and improved upon it, adding salt and other flavors. And by 1986, microwavable popcorn sales reached $150 million.
It's 2/3 of the total popcorn sales in the market today.
Today, overall popcorn sales approach $2 billion. And it's easy to see why. The pop, the smell, the crunch of perfect popcorn, America's first favorite salty snack. But it's not the last.
We package about 16,000 pounds an hour.
Our #1 favorite snack food when American eats continues. Before the days of political correctness, unpopped popcorn kernels were called old maids and spinsters. Welcome to potato chip lovers' heaven. This is the Utz Potato Chip Factory in Hanover, Pennsylvania, where every day an industrialized dance creates America's favorite salty snack. 2 potato varieties with high water content, Atlantic and Snowden, sliced to 55 1/1000ths of an inch, are dropped in a roiling 340-degree vat of sweet cottonseed oil for 2.5 minutes, and then doused with 95 milligrams of salt just as the fried crispy chips emerge. So the salt sticks to the still gleaming oil.
We package about 16,000 pounds of potato chips an hour here at Utz. The entire process, depending on a number of different factors, is about a 15 to 20 minute process from the time the potatoes are unloaded until the product is in our warehouse or distribution center.
Potato chips are the best-selling salty snack by far, with over 100 different brands of potato chips, each competing to be the #1 crunch. But if it wasn't for one irate chef in Saratoga, New York, there may not have been a single one.
It was one of those great discoveries in salted snacks.
It happened in the summer of 1853 at an upscale restaurant called the Moon's Lake House when a patron ordered some fried potatoes.
He didn't like his potatoes, they weren't sliced thin enough, and they were soggy. And he sent them back to the kitchen with a complaint. And the chef, one George Crumb, who was a irascible fellow by nature in the first place, and as people know, cooks are a little testy by nature in the second place, wasn't too happy getting the food sent back. Instead of simply cooking a new set of potatoes, he said, "I'll show him thin and crispy."
So he sliced the potatoes as thin as he could, fried and salted them, and sent the crispy potatoes back out, intending to insult the man by making him eat with his hands.
No diner in those days, no gentleman would have dreamed of picking up food at the table with his fingers. In fact, even an apple and a pear at the table was eaten with a knife and fork. But instead of being upset, the diner looked at the potato chip and was quite delighted. All of the other diners saw it and, I want what he's having, so pretty soon it entered the menu as Saratoga chips.
Unfortunately for Crumb, he never patented his invention, and soon other restaurants began serving Saratoga chips.
Traditionally, potato chips were part of the meal. They were not a snack food at all. They would be served when you would receive your steak, you would receive your potato chips along with them.
By the 1890s, potato chips were popular enough that entrepreneurs figured they could sell them outside the restaurants as one of the many bulk items sold in grocery stores. It was a monumental moment for the potato chip.
By becoming a grocery store product, potato chips became accessible to everyone. You didn't have to go to a restaurant in order to have them. It wasn't part of a formal meal anymore. It was the transition to becoming a snack food as opposed to a part of a meal.
A Cleveland, Ohio man named William Tappenden is credited with being one of the first potato chip manufacturers when he began producing chips in 1895. Soon, potato chip producers were popping up all over the country.
There was a huge number of very small manufacturers, often people who were farmers and were growing potatoes and would start a little potato chip operation.
You would have small producers who would make them in their homes during the day and then cart them around to local towns and villages and sell them out of their horse-drawn wagons.
By the 1920s, potato chips were a part of American culinary life.
And the potatoes grown in Pennsylvania were the most popular. They were rounder and thinner skinned than an Idaho baking potato, and therefore easier to peel and slice. One Pennsylvania potato chip success story was Bill and Sally Utz, who started their business in 1921.
Well, Bill Utz was a factory worker in the 1920s with Hanover Shoe. There was an older gentleman in York, Pennsylvania who had a small hand operation who wanted to retire, so they scraped together $300, which in the 1920s was a lot of money for a factory worker who didn't make $5 a week.
While Bill went door to door to local stores, Sally Utz fried the chips in a kettle in the kitchen.
That first little hand kettle produced about 50 pounds of potato chips an hour. They had a small hand crank slicer, small, I assume motor-driven peeler, and did batches that probably were like 8 to 10 pounds of finished product.
The potato chips were sold to grocery stores for about 5 cents a pound. But once at the store, the chips had a big problem. Packaging.
Potato chips were sold in two ways. They were either sold in a glass display case or in a big barrel. And either way, air got in, bugs crawled in, the bottom of the barrel got damp. You didn't want the potato chips from the bottom of the barrel.
You opened the barrel and all of a sudden the potato chips became stale. So there were instructions along with the potato chips saying, take your stale potato chips home and warm them before you consume them. You really had to create a package a consumer could take home with them easily, and they didn't go stale until you opened up the package.
In 1926, a potato chip maker from Monterey Park, California, named Laura Scudder, would solve the problem.
Laura Scudder figured out that if she cut 2 pieces of wax paper and ironed them together, she could create a pretty moisture-proof potato chip bag.
It caused a revolution in packaging for potato chips. Everyone saw the absolute advantage of potato chips packaged in smaller containers.
Scudder's wax bags increased the shelf life of potato chips to about 3 days, but it wasn't long before another improvement would turn days into weeks.
Latest packaging methods ensure the chips will remain fresh indefinitely.
In the early 1930s, another major innovation in chip production was the development by the Dixie Wax Paper Company down in Dallas, Texas, of the glassine bag.
It's a very special type of paper in which they take fibers and almost gelatinize it, and they make a paper out of it. And after they have the first set of paper, they do something called super calendaring, which means that they put a lot of pressure on the paper, which really seals all of the pores of the paper, which doesn't allow grease or light into the bags themselves, which prevents staling.
Patented in 1933 as the Freshine bag, as the glassine bag was marketed, kept chips fresh and had another huge advantage.
It enabled you to actually imprint your brand name on the bag, and with the brand name came, guess what? Advertising on the bags.
By the 1930s, potato chips were big business, helped by the end of Prohibition, which unleashed a wave of drinkers happy to crunch chips in between sips. The cost of chips, no more than 5 cents a bag, also made it an affordable treat. By the end of the decade, there were more than 200 potato chip manufacturers nationwide. But the 30s were important for another reason.
Nobody knew it at the time, but 1932 was a big year in the history of potato chips because in that year, 24-year-old Herman Lay began a job as a route driver for a potato chip company. But Herman Lay was no ordinary route driver.
Lay's starting salary at Barrett Foods was only $23 a month. But by 1937, he was a major distributor, and a year later, he bought the company he'd been working for. He soon changed the name to the H.W. Lay Company. Lay had big plans for his chips, which were helped immeasurably with the invention of one machine, the continuous fryer.
The continuous fryer was perhaps the central innovation that revolutionized the chipping industry by making it economic, making it fast, making high volumes practical.
But before Lay could make use of the machine, America was at war. The first potato chip casualty of World War II? Mrs. Jap's brand potato chips from Chicago. Right after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, the Jap family changed the name of the brand to Jay's. But the rest of the news for potato chips was pretty good.
During World War II, both sugar and chocolate were rationed, and consequently they were not easily accessible to most Americans. So most of the sweet snacks went out during the war. But on the other hand, salt was all over America. It wasn't rationed, as well as potatoes were easily accessible, as well as popcorn was easily accessible. So you had a huge increase in salty snacks consumption during World War II.
Potato chips were marketed as patriotic, deemed an essential item by the government. By 1945, gross sales of potato chips reached $120 million. A year later, it had risen to $170 million. With post-war America booming, the only limits for chips were the manufacturers' imaginations. But no one could have imagined this.
Will you pass the potato chips? Coming right up.
There still was an issue with people believing that this product was real.
When American Eats returns. In the U.S., the pound of chips costs about 200 times more than a pound of potatoes.
Some potatoes are best for baking, some for boiling, and some for making potato chips.
By the late 1950s, annual potato chip sales had reached $500 million. The booming sales could be attributed to a number of things: a healthy post-war economy, baby boomer kids, TV snacking, and Lipton onion soup mix. That's right, Lipton onion soup mix.
Lipton had a freeze-dried soup product that they were looking for alternate uses of. Well, by accident, they were testing this product in a lab, and they decided to dip chips in what was the sour cream-based mix that they had created, and they thought, wow, this is a great product.
In the 1950s, Lipton mounted a massively successful promotional campaign to sell their soup mix as dip, sparking a dip craze in America. And nothing goes better with dip than potato chips.
In the 1950s, you have the invention of dips. And with a dip, you not only have the flavor, salty flavor of the potato chip, but you now also have whatever other dip flavor that you want. It starts off with onion mixes, then you move to salsa, then you move to guacamole. There's 1,000 different flavors. The potato chip becomes a vehicle for moving the dips into your mouth. This is a great invention.
The popularity of dips not only boosted potato chip sales, it helped spark the creation of two landmark chip inventions. The first, the seasoned chip.
You might be surprised to know that seasoned chips weren't invented here, the home of the chip. They were invented in Ireland at a company called Tato, who actually figured out the technology to get the seasoned flavor into the chip.
Tato are terrific.
Seasoned chips had been sold previously, but the salt seasoning was supplied in a sealed packet to sprinkle over the chips. Founder Tommy Hutchinson pioneered the technology that put the seasoning on the chip before packaging. Hutchinson's flavors were cheese and onion and salt and vinegar. A second Irish company, also called Tato, came out with their own version of the cheese and onion chip the same year.
So the result is that companies went swarming to buy the technology.
By 1953, Old Dutch Foods of St. Paul, Minnesota had onion and garlic and barbecue on the market. Followed by sour cream and onion in 1968, seasoned chips really took off. Today, there are hundreds of different flavors of potato chips.
Now it's hot, I'll guarantee.
From cheddar beer to spicy Thai, chip companies develop their own flavors or buy them from seasoning companies. The goal is to have a flavor that peaks quickly in the mouth and then quickly goes away, forcing the consumer to eat more and more.
Potato chips have fairly simple flavoring names, sour cream and onion, barbecue, or whatever. But underlying that simplicity is a very complex process of assembling herbs and spices and other ingredients to get the desired seasoning flavor.
Seasonings are added to chips in two ways. Either chips are spun and tossed around in a drum of seasonings, or they're passed through a machine called a gravity seasoner.
It simply drops a thin curtain of seasoning on our potato chips as they pass on a shaker conveyor below the seasoning units.
Guaranteeing equal distribution of seasonings is important, and companies hire inspectors to visually assess each chip as it comes down the line.
I trust the visual human examination of the product, which is easy on barbecue or red hot seasoning. It's very difficult on salt and vinegar or sour cream because they're about the same color as the surface of the chip.
Seasoned chips weren't the only innovation inspired by the dip craze of the 1950s. Light, crisp potato chips tended to break under the weight of the popular heavy dips. A better chip was required. In 1958, the Frito Company of Dallas used a new ridged cutting blade to slice the potatoes, and they liked the result.
They discovered that if they created ridges in it or created a way of holding the dip inside of it and cutting it slightly thicker, that they'd be able to give the public a chip that would hold a dip better than anybody else.
Introduced in 1958, the new product was named Ruffles.
Ruffles have ridges.
Ruffles were a hit, and by the 1960s, chipping companies were in fierce competition to come up with the next great shape, size, and texture.
Why can't he just say Mama and Dada?
But in 1968, a potato chip debuted that would bring the industry into all-out war.
In the 50s, Procter & Gamble had a research department called Exploratory Development. When one of our researchers, Fred Bauer, was given the challenge to look at the potato chip market and decide what we could do to create a better potato chip. First thing they did was, of course, talk to consumers. And one of the things they said was, they're greasy, they break in the bag. It would be kind of nice to have potato chips that aren't greasy and aren't broken.
Bauer and a team of researchers set about the task of creating a less greasy, less breakable chip and packaging to protect it. It took almost a decade.
From the very beginning, if you look at Fred Bauer's notes in his laboratory notebook, he wrote that a chip in a shape that would be stackable in a container would have advantages to the consumer. And so right from the beginning, it was Fred's idea that the way to prevent breakage was to create something that both had the right kind of container and the right kind of shape.
In 1966, Bauer filed a patent for a new tennis ball can-like container. Aside from the shape and packaging, the chip itself was a whole new concept.
The key was studying a better way to form the chip. Using the real potato product but made into flakes, could be formed into a dough. The product could be cut, fried, and flavored.
They named the new product after a street in Procter & Gamble's hometown of Cincinnati.
Pringles' newfangled potato chips. Have you ever seen so many perfect chips?
Pringles had an immediate effect.
They're delicious.
These products flew off the shelf. People just thought this was such a great concept, so innovative.
Pringles taste better.
I like the Pringles better.
And people just thought they were a lot of fun. And so Pringles took off and became a huge success in the late 60s and early 70s.
Procter & Gamble was ecstatic, but other potato chip producers were just the opposite.
Some of the other potato chip manufacturers were up in arms over Pringles being able to sell its product as a potato chip.
All the other potato chip companies were concerned because they saw how popular Pringles was. So there was lots of discussion about, is this a chip, isn't it a chip?
Their argument was that the potato chip should be made from a fresh slice of potato and not from potato flakes mixed with water and flour.
The potato chip company's complaints caused a media uproar. And finally, after years of wrangling, a ruling from the Food and Drug Administration in 1975. Pringles can call themselves potato chips, but the phrase made from dried potatoes has to appear next to or beneath the label.
Looking back now, from our vantage point, it's almost hard to understand what the issue was.
Today, Pringles is sold in over 140 countries and over 40 varieties and is one of the best-selling chips in the U.S. Pringles' creation was the result of years of high-priced corporate research and development, but some snack food favorites have more humble beginnings.
In the 1930s, Edward Wilson was experimenting with animal feed.
Doritos, Cheetos, and Fritos, oh my, when American Eats returns. Pringles are a salty snack icon. Even the shape of the Olympic Stadium in Australia is inspired by the chip's unique design. They're some of our favorite snacks: Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos, Ruffles, and Rolled Gold. Each a unique burst of salty goodness and satisfying crunch. So it might surprise you that they're all made by the same company, Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay produces over 100 trademark snacks, accounting for a mind-blowing 65% of the salty snack food market. The company is a salty snack giant, having systematically gobbled up almost all its snack food competitors of the past 70 years. And it all began in 1932 with a frustrated San Antonio businessman named Elmer Doolin.
Elmer was actually an ice cream company owner, and his ice cream business wasn't doing too well. And he was sitting in a restaurant, and while eating a sandwich, he noticed that these corn-based chip products were available for sale for a few pennies more, and decided to buy them.
What Doolin bought was a product made in the restaurant called Friotos,
which was simply a fried version of a taco shell or tortilla. And he fell in love with the taste of it, which was a little different than the normal thing.
Doolin saw his future in Friotos. With $100 borrowed from his mother, he bought the rights to the owner's recipe and his Friotos making equipment. An old potato ricer that mashed the cornmeal into chip shape. He started making the corn chips in his mother's kitchen and selling them from the back of his Model T Ford under the name Fritos.
It's actually a pressed chip that's then fried. And once it gets to a temperature point where it starts to absorb the grease or the fat that it's being fried in, it puffs up slightly. Then it's dried, salted, and that's your corn chip.
In 1933, the newly christened Frito Company moved to a modern factory in Dallas, and Doolin expanded his product line. Potato chips called Fritatos were introduced in 1935, and peanut butter sandwiches in 1937. By 1950, Frito products were available in 48 states, with sales reaching $21 million by 1954, thanks in part to a corn chip-loving cowboy.
Frito territory. The Frito Kid is boss out here. He's traveled far and wide.
The Fritos Kid was an icon that they created for Fritos. That was a marketing technique which they would appeal to kids.
Anyone who grew up during that period of time will remember the Frito Kid.
Frito's territory.
Frito's territory.
Never a man to rest on his success. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, Doolin continued to look for new snack foods.
Once you had successful snack foods like Fritos, for instance, then the goal was to say, okay, fine, how can we expand this product line into other flavors that are similar to that?
Doolin believed changing the shape and texture of the snack could expand the corn-based Fritos line. Instead of a chip, why not a puff? To puff the cornmeal required a process called extrusion.
An extruder is a machine that pushes cornmeal through a small opening at very high pressure, and the heat and the pressure causes the product to expand volume-wise very significantly and become a puffed item.
The first extruded snack food, corn curls, had been around since the 1930s, but in 1948, the Frito Company introduced their own puffed corn snack, Cheetos.
Cheetos is essentially ground up corn that's then mixed with flour and water that's pressed to a very, very high compression rate and then baked to a very, very high temperature until it explodes. At the point at which it explodes, at this high heat, it's pulled out of the oven and then toasted with powdered cheese.
Before this, you had corn snacks that were flat, and all of a sudden extruded snacks were wonderful, different shapes, and you could flavor them in any way that you would like. So it really started a revolution in extruded snacks.
Cheetos were a huge hit. By 1960, Frito was the biggest snack food company in the country, with sales tripling over the previous 6 years. Doolin saw only one way to get bigger quickly: to merge with another snack food giant, the H.W. Lay Company, who had made $28 million in sales that year. Herman Lay and Elmer Doolin had known each other since at least 1945, when Lay began distributing Fritos in the Southeast. Their business skills were a perfect match.
Elmer Doolin had good products, and he had good ideas, and he could see things that made sense and that would sell. Herman Lay had a wonderful sense of how you sell the product. His goal was to create a distribution system that was national. His goal was to create an advertising system that would promote the products. He really had a very different approach, and together they were a wonderful team.
In 1961, the two companies merged. Frito-Lay became the first national potato chip company, with sales over $127 million the first year. But the success of Frito-Lay caused ripples throughout the snack food industry.
During the 1940s and 1950s, there were large numbers of regional brands of potato chips and corn chips. As Frito-Lay became important, they were able to advertise nationally. They were able to produce products that were less costly than regional products.
In some cases, they went away and couldn't compete. In other cases, the Frito-Lay company actually would acquire them for the niche value that they had.
And the consequence was that over a period of about 20 years, a large number of the regional brands disappeared, and you really do have the nationalization of the potato chip and corn chip industries with Frito-Lay by about 1970.
As the biggest snack food company in the world, Frito-Lay was able to pour money into advertising.
Lay's potato chips. Bet you can't eat one.
The Bet You Can't Eat Just One campaign came out in 1965. And that campaign was derived from the idea of how addicting potato chips can be. You just can't eat just one. The Lay's chip became the #1 salty snack soon after it became the national brand.
Frito-Lay also poured money into creating new products. They came up with one of the most popular snack foods of all time. It started in 1964 when a Frito-Lay executive ate some fresh tortilla chips at a store in Southern California. He believed the company could improve upon the tortillas and sell the chips.
So Arch began the process of creating a machine that would make the tortillas and then cutting them into pieces and then frying them and adding flavor to them, adding a powdered cheese to them, enhance the flavor. Because tortilla chips on their own aren't very flavorful unless you add salt or other flavors. So he added a cheese product on top of it, very similar to what was being put onto the Cheetos.
Doritos debuted in 1966 at a cost of 49 cents for a 16-ounce bag. Almost immediately, they became the country's second most popular salty snack after potato chips. Over the next 30 years, Frito-Lay continued to introduce new salty snacks. Funyuns in 1969, Munchos in 1971, Tostitos in 1981, and Sun Chips in 1991. So, what could possibly be next?
Dirty Martini.
When American Eats continues. The low-carb diet craze helped boost sales of pork rinds by 11% in 2004 to over $700 million. In 1943, there were over 430 salty snack manufacturers in the U.S. Today, there's less than half that amount. Despite that, the number of salty snack products out there to crunch is astronomical.
There is no week that goes by without a new salty snack coming on the market, and the answer is there are thousands of salty snacks already on the market, and every day there are new salty snacks coming out that are tested.
There is such a large number of snacks available to us today, and for a variety of reasons. First of all, the American consumer demands and wants, and what the American consumer wants, manufacturers will provide. Now, a second reason is that we are a country of innovators, and there's always somebody coming up with the next great idea and producing it.
One group of innovators pushing the market is a whole new crop of independent snack food companies. Welcome to the era of gourmet salty snacks. Kettle Chips of Salem, Oregon was a leader in the back-to-basics approach to the potato chip. No continuous fryer, only a kettle would do.
Out of the continuous process comes a lighter, more delicate, in a way less crunchy chip, less crunchy because there's less substance to the chip itself. Out of the kettle cooking comes a little denser, a little harder bite, a little crunchier chip, which approximates more the original way that chips were made before the processing equipment came into play in the 1920s and 30s.
Generally, people who make kettle chips make them in smaller production.
Smaller production lines allow these gourmet or artisan companies to appeal to niche markets and use specialty salts and flavorings.
Let's face it, a potato chip is really simple. There's a potato, there's oil, and then there's a little bit of seasoning. If you look at your large commercial potato chip, it's basically table salt, a common ordinary table salt. If you're looking at an artisanal chip, they may be using sea salt on it to give it a really special flavor.
These independent companies also took potato chip flavors to a whole new level, moving past sour cream and onion to a smorgasbord of taste that now includes Louisiana-based Zapp's Cajun Dill Gator Tater and Cruncher's Sweet Hawaiian Onion.
There's a company out there that makes great chips called Route 11, and they have some flavors out there where if I hadn't tasted them, I'm not sure I personally would have ever dragged them off the shelf. One of them is dill pickle.
Tastes quite strongly of pickle.
They also have Chesapeake crab.
Too bad. Too bad.
Then there's one called Mama Zuma's Revenge. It's a fusion chip, barbecue, and habanero.
Really, really hot.
A hot and happening chip.
Can I eat this whole thing?
With less money for advertising than their giant competitors, the smaller companies used word of mouth and web campaigns to get their products noticed. Since 2005, Kettle has run an online contest to determine new flavors with consumers voting for their favorites. This year, thousands of people voted.
The winning flavors of 2005 were cheddar beer and spicy Thai. This year's contestants include flavors like Dirty Martini, Spicy Mary, Creamy Caesar, and a Tuscan 3 cheese.
The success of the gourmet brand's innovative flavors and back-to-basics kettle process had a huge impact on the snack food industry. Today, almost every major brand offers a kettle variety.
Even the big boys are getting into the specialty act. In fact, the other day I saw a new brand called Miss Vicky's, and they had a dozen different flavors, the mesquite, the jalapeno, everything unusual. And when I looked really closely at this beautiful brown bag with artisan graphics, thinking, who makes Miss Vicky's? Lay's. So obviously when you have your largest potato chip manufacturer realizing that they need to get into the artisanship game, you can tell it's a growing trend.
Which is why some companies have even gone beyond the potato and have moved into frying different vegetables. In 1990, two New York chefs, Dana Sinkler and Alex Shedashitsky, left their jobs at four-star restaurants to create Terra Chips, a line of gourmet vegetable chips which contain taro, parsnip, and sweet potatoes. The company produces 18 million pounds of chips a year, and in 2004 added a Kettle's Crinkle Cut blend to their line, with sea salt on their chip. Whether it's a kettle-cooked potato chip, a gourmet pop kernel, or a mass-produced puff, the American craving for salty snacks is only getting stronger.
We're never satisfied. I think that, you take something good, you want to try it 7 different ways.
The more innovation, the more demand there is, the more products that are going to be on the shelf. I have no idea how many more shelves or how high the supermarkets are going to have to be built to feed that ever-increasing demand for more snacks.
And in the end, it all comes down to the same basic thing.
Salt. Salt is the main appeal in salty snacks. It's addictive, And the products that we eat when we talk about salty snacks is purely the carrier of that salt flavor that we crave.